Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I am your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. Every week we talk about our ongoing thesis, and that is digital hospitality. Every business needs to be digital first, and every business needs to be in the hospitality business. What does this mean? This means that there is an incredible opportunity for both brick and mortar businesses plus online businesses to understand that there's two ecosystems, and the ecosystems that connect the most is technology and storytelling. So our job every single week is to find people that are playing the game within the game, the people that are leaders in their respective spaces, people that we admire, people that are doing things that are different and innovative, but more importantly, that are helping bridge this gap, starting to understand the ecosystem so that you, the listener, can find opportunities in your business so that you can grow. Today, we have Stephen Hoffman, CEO of Founders Space. Welcome to the show.
Sean, it is fantastic to be here.
So a mutual friend, Jason Jebsen, who also hosts a podcast, he is an incredible thought leader, and he very rarely recommends guests to me. But when he does, my ears perk up. And once he sent the email to me, I started doing a digital deep dive into what you were building and what you've built. And my goodness, you've been doing some significant work in the founder space.
I have, we run a startup incubator and accelerator, a global one based out of San Francisco, but we have partners all over the world. And I'm also an author of books. My most recent being Surviving a Startup, which is about what we're going to talk about.
So let's talk about surviving a startup. I mean, a lot of people that listen to this show, we talk about the entrepreneurial cliff, jumping off of that cliff. If you have this idea for a product or service and finding the product fit, the market fit, and understanding, how are you going to document that along the way? How are you going to build community? How are you going to gain traction? How are you going to scale? How are you going to exit? All that fun stuff. Tell us why, why Founder Space?
So the reason is I've done 3 venture funded startups myself in Silicon Valley. I did 2 bootstrap startups. So I kind of know both sides of the coin, what it's like to pay for everything yourself, to sweat it out, to grow it organically, and what it's like to raise venture capital and go through that whole process. And I'm also an investor. So I look at startups from a lot of different angles. And in the hospitality business in particular, entrepreneurs, it's not easy. It is tough to survive. As you know, there's a lot of competition. Right now we're facing increases in wages, which is really cutting into profits. There are supply chain issues that people are dealing with, not to mention COVID, which never seems to end.
Yep.
But hopefully we're at the end right now, but it hasn't been easy. And what I tell entrepreneurs, no matter what business you're in, differentiate yourself first. Why should people come to you? Why you? There are so many other places they can spend their money and their time. If they're going to come to you, you have to give them a really good reason. Now, what I don't like is for entrepreneurs to give 5 reasons. Like, they can come to me for this, and then they also get this, and then there's an added bonus, this.
Yeah.
Nobody does it, right?
No, that's a problem with a lot of salespeople. Salespeople, they tell you too many solutions that you don't want.
Right. But really, for most businesses out there, people go for one reason. They have the best darn pizza in the world, I'm going there.
Correct.
That's where I'm going. I love it. Or, the beds are so comfortable. I always stay in that. Or it's the cleanest hotel I've ever stayed in. Whatever it is, usually there's one reason. And you have to figure out where what are people going to tell their friends? What really matters to them? Who's your target audience? What matters to them most? Is it price? Is it location? Is it, the design, the ambiance, the feeling? What is it? And can you really deliver upon that?
So we love lessons and stories. And one of the things with someone with your expertise, you've seen so many startups, you've talked to so many founders. One of the things we do love to talk about is communication. Is how do you communicate that message? How do you communicate that you are different? Based off of your experience, do you have any stories of anybody that did it really well? Anybody that was pitching? Because pitching is very important. and I don't think is actually talked about a lot in business school. We started talking about it a lot more because it's telling your story. It's one thing to pitch in real life. It's another thing to pitch the internet and pitch a TikTok video, but it's just as important. Just
Yeah.
as important to tell TikTok, tell LinkedIn, tell YouTube, just as it is to tell someone in real life that you're trying to raise capital.
So raising capital is a really good exercise, even if you never raise a dime. And I'll tell you why. Because it actually forces you to look at your business and forces you to distill your business down to its essence. Because if you're really going to attract investors, you need to be able to summarize your business very clearly and cleanly. And this is the art of pitching. It's not putting together a PowerPoint deck, putting in 20 slides of, this is the market size, this is the growth potential, blah, 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 blah. This is, I'll tell you right away, investors know all that already. If they're serious about if they're serious investors and they're looking into your sector, let's say it's restaurants or hotels or whatever it is, they're looking into that, then they've seen hundreds of these, right, pitches. Yeah. And so they know all the basics. You don't need to tell them that. What you need to focus on, and this, why it's so good, is because it's not just investors, it's everybody you deal with. Everybody you want to partner with, everybody you want to bring into your, let's just say it's a restaurant, right? Everybody you want to bring into your restaurant, it's the same pitch in a different form. Because what the investor needs to know is what anybody needs to know. And what is the value proposition you're making? Where are you creating what I call extreme value for your customers? By extreme value, I mean there's an area where the value you provide is so much greater than any of the competitors that everybody chooses you. Most of us, why would we choose the second best? Oh, they have the second best hamburgers in town. Let's go. No, we're going to go the best. Like whatever they have the second most romantic place to eat in town. No, let's go to the most romantic place if you want to take a date.
Correct.
Or the second best beer, whatever it is. Whatever you're delivering in your pitch to investors, you have to make that clear. Like why are customers choosing us? Who are our customers? What exactly do they need from us that we can give them that nobody else is really giving them in our market? That's your pitch and its essence. People put in all sorts of other stuff into these pitches. A lot of them put in lots of technology, especially where I'm from, Silicon Valley, pages of tech. Nobody cares about that. Customers and
the technology either works or it doesn't.
In your restaurant, if you're touting your IoT technology or whatever you're doing, your menus that are interactive, nobody cares. Like, correct. They care, like, is the service really good? Is it really fast? Is the food amazing? Is it a good environment? Like, those basics will always be true. Now, if technology can make those things better, then use it. If it can't, don't use it, right? So a lot of it is like technology in restaurants is great when you really use it right. Like if let's say big data, right? I'm gathering data on all my customers. Well, the data means nothing, but how you use it means everything. Like the more you know about your customers, the more you know about why they come in, where they go, where else they eat, what websites they browse online, what cars they drive, then you know how to market to these people. You know how to reach them. And one of the most important things, like especially for the hospitality business, that I think is going to define winners versus losers is who are those hospitality providers that have an ongoing relationship with their customers. And the beauty of it today is that everybody has a computer in their pocket, right? It's not showing up here, but you know what it is. It's a phone.
It's a smartphone. We talk about it all the time. Yep. Everyone's got a point of sale in their pocket.
Right. And it's not, and it's a way not just for you to sell them, but for you to have a dialogue with them, an ongoing dialogue about not trying to, sell them the next burger, sell them the next whatever, vacation. It's a way for you to sell them on who you are, your brand, your relationship to them. What do they get? What do they want out of you? And how can you keep giving them things that are valuable to them so that you're always on top of their mind when they come to making buying decisions, whether it's traveling, whether it's eating out, whatever it is. That is a beauty. So if you're pitching to investors and you want to say why we're different or what technology we're using, it all has to point in the same direction, right?
Yeah.
It all has to point, it has to be very simple. Like this, this is the relationship we have our customers. These are our customers. That's why they come to us. This is maybe the technology we're using to actually amplify that, or to actually enable that connection to happen.
That's very fascinating. I mean, we're fascinated with people that go out and raise money and build businesses, and we're fascinated with people that bootstrap their own business.
Yeah.
There's no one way to do it.
And I have advice to all of your members who are going out to raise capital. I write about this in depth in Surviving a Startup, how to pitch investors. And I'll give you some tips.
Please.
So, because I've gone through this many times with myself and hundreds of other companies. So when you're going out to raise capital, the first thing you need to know is you shouldn't be talking at your investors. You shouldn't be talking to them. You should be talking with them. So you should have a dialogue. And remember, whoever's investing, if they're an angel investor, they've probably run successful hospitality businesses.
Yeah.
Chances are, if they're investing in it, they understand it. You can learn a lot from them. You're getting free consulting. So when you go into them, and honestly, people invest in people they like, people they trust, and people they feel like they can make a contribution to more than just their money, right?
Yeah.
They can give their money to a lot of people, but they want to be a part of the business. That's why a lot of angel investors invest. So when you're going into them, and even if they're big corporations that are investing in you, same thing, they're individuals making those decisions, and they want to be involved in your business. So when you go to pitch, the first thing you do is don't just go through your PowerPoint without stopping. A lot of people do this. No, say, what do you want to know? What do you want to know about this? You can give, and they'll probably say, oh, give us an overview. You can give them an overview, but make sure to pause and after each slide and allow them to ask questions.
Socratic method.
If they are asked, when you ask somebody, if somebody drones on and on and on about their sales pitch to you, what do? You tune out, right?
Correct.
You're like, oh my God, okay, I know half of this stuff. But if they allow you to ask questions, suddenly you're interested because you're
active.
Your brain turns on. So you want to turn on the brain of your investor. And then the more they're talking, the more they're selling themselves psychologically, and the more information they're giving you about the market they're seeing, your competitors, the experience they've had. And after every pitch, lesson number 2, rework your pitch. They just gave you a lot of feedback, whether they thought they were doing it or not. They showed you the parts they were interested in. They asked you the questions that were most important. They gave you ideas. If you're having a good conversation, take that and put that back into your pitch. Refine your pitch. If you do this, you can be really awful when you start. And in a very short time, after 10 meetings with investors, you can be really good at pitching them. Lesson number 3. Investors are like frogs. And I'm an investor, so I can say this, right? So we're like frogs. You go to an investor and you kiss that investor. That's called pitching, right? You kiss them and you hope that investor will turn into your Prince Charming, give you all the money and everything you need, and then carry you away and make your dreams come true, right? That's what you want.
That's good. I like that. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if you kiss the same frog 3 times and it doesn't turn into Prince Charming, it's just a frog. It's not an investor for you. So this is a big mistake entrepreneurs make. We all, if an investor is paying attention to us, we feel good and we think there's hope. Well, honestly, the first time you pitch an investor, it's very unlikely you're going to close the deal. They're going to write the check. Although it does happen, and it's happened to me. I've gotten that check. I've gotten $6 million on the first pitch, but it doesn't.
Get out of here. $6 million?
Yeah, on the first pitch.
That's a good pitch. How long was that pitch?
45 minutes.
45 minutes, $6 million. That is impressive.
Yes. So I'm telling you, you can do it.
It's possible.
But it's unlikely.
Yeah.
Usually there's a second meeting, but when you're done with the first meeting, if you want to close the deal, then I'll tell you what I did on that meeting to close the deal. So I let that investor know in that pitch that another company had lined up a lot of other meetings for me, and I casually dropped they were the first one I'm talking to, and I'm going to go out and talk to others. Investors are motivated by 2 things: fear and greed. We know this, right? We've watched Wall Street, right?
Yes.
But honestly, their fear of losing their money has to be greater than their fear of losing the deal. No, they're opposite.
Yeah.
I said it wrong. Their
Opposite.
fear of losing the deal has to be
Correct.
greater than their fear of losing the money.
Yes.
So I planted the seeds of fear in this investor. Like, if that investor let me walk out the door, and it wasn't a hard sell, it was just casually mentioned that they might lose this deal. So
Yeah.
their fear of losing the deal was more than the money, and they're willing to dive in. So investors don't move on you if an investor can wait to make a decision, they'll usually wait, because the longer they wait, if they don't think the deal is going away, they get more information. They can find out how you're doing. Oh, come back in a couple months, talk to me then. We'll see your numbers at that time. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
If they think the deal is going to be around and they want to see if other people are interested. Like, am I the only investor who thinks this is halfway decent? Like, show me some other investors. They always say this, I don't know. When you get some other investors, call me back,
Or get some traction. Yeah.
Get some traction. You hear this over and over. So you need to make them afraid that if they aren't going to take the deal now, you're not going to be around. So after your first pitch, you need to tell them, is there any information you need to make a decision? Like, is there anybody you need in the room? Is there any information from me? What do you need to make this decision? You have to ask them, or they're not going to tell you. Then you tell them, and then you give them that, right? And then you set up a meeting a week later, like, be sure to bring any decision makers you need, blah, blah, blah. Go to that meeting, pitch them again. Hopefully, you got them to a point now, like, I'm not, you let them know in a very subtle way. You don't want to be too pushy, that, my time is really valuable. I'm talking to lots of people, so I need your decision. Are you able to decide today? If more often than not, they'll say no, like, oh, there's one more people I need to meet, or I need to think about this. Then you say, okay, we'll do one more meeting, a week from now. But I want you at that point, if we're going to meet, to have everything you need to make a decision. And then the third meeting, I'll tell you, if they don't invest on the third meeting or the fourth meeting, it's not an exact rule, it's rough. But after that, it's exponentially goes up, the chance of the closing, and then it starts to exponentially go down. So you can have a dozen meetings after that, and the chance just gets lower and lower. Like, if they haven't, and you think, oh, the more I'm meeting with them, we're forming a relationship. They're liking me. People don't invest that way, right? They don't invest because they've met with you 20 times. In fact, they're more likely to invest with you when they've met you, 3 or 4
You probably
times.
don't want that investor either.
No, because they're on
they
the
have
fence.
the time to meet with you 20 times and vet your idea and ask you questions. They'll probably be there asking you every step of the way. What are you building? How are you building it? Why is it ready?
And then they're just looking loose, and they require lots of time, and they give you false hope. So you end up spending time and energy on them instead of being realistic and finding a new investor. So after the third time, literally kick them off the bus. Kick them off the fence is what you need to do. And I call it pushing for a no. So instead of pushing for a yes, like say yes, you say, look, if you don't want to invest, it's fine. Like, you just need to tell me now, because we can't keep going, having meetings. I'm so busy, so much going on. I need to know. And a lot of times they'll say, well, call me when you're getting close to closing the round. Don't. Or I follow, I don't lead. They're worthless to you at that point.
Correct.
Like, anybody can come in when you're closing the round. You don't need them. You say, by the time I'm closing the round, I'll have all the investors on board. Like, if you want to be on board, you have to come on board now, because there won't be room, even if I want to, at a later time. And then say, but if you do, if you don't, and then say, well, we don't lead. Some people say they just don't lead. Then say, well, introduce me to a lead. If you introduce me to a lead, I will include you in the deal. I'll make sure. But if they don't introduce you to a lead, they don't get any guarantees, and you're essentially closing the door. That is how you close deals.
That is very, very practical advice. Hope you guys were paying attention and taking notes. The good thing is this is recorded, so you can go back and write down the notes. So I've heard there's many sayings when it comes to investors, and there's something that they say, I bet on the jockey and not the horse. Is that something that you do personally? Do you bet on the jockey and the horse?
Absolutely. So, really? The horse is usually the idea, and the jockey is the team that will execute on it. And so it's not exactly analogous to horse racing, because you need a damn good horse in a horse race. But I'll tell you this: I've seen teams with the best idea in the world. Like, they nailed it. I was like, this is brilliant. But the team, if they aren't a good team, they invariably fumble the ball at some point, and somebody else picks it up and runs with it. Executing on a business is really hard. You could have the best damn idea for a restaurant or a hotel or whatever business you want in the world. If you can't run it, it's going to fail. It doesn't matter what industry it's in, right? It's just not going to be great. The customers won't be happy. Nothing, the food is burnt, whatever. It's really hard. So when I am making an investment, I always look at the team, because it's very hard to change the CEO. It's very hard to change the team. Yeah, the founders. It's just, you're stuck with them, at the beginning stages. And, if you're trying to change them and they don't have money, it just all falls apart. When it's relatively easy to change direction. Like, oh, we thought we were going to focus on pasta. We thought this neighborhood liked pasta, but they actually they don't want Italian food. Like what they want is Thai food, whatever, those changes can be made. But changing the core team there, this is what I tell entrepreneurs, and it's really important for all of your entrepreneurs out there. You have to be just like an investor when you're setting up your company. Don't think like an entrepreneur. So when you are starting your company, I challenge every listener you have out there, spend 80% of your time not making the menu, not planning the location, not building out, getting good prices on tiling and windows or whatever you need, getting the licenses, not doing that. Spend 80% of your time at the very beginning finding the right partners, the right team, the people who can totally execute on this. Like, man, we have like the best chef like ever, right? And they're going to plan out a menu that is just like nobody else. And we have, the best marketing person I could ever imagine, as one of my partners, or the best designer to come in and make the place look like $1 million, but it doesn't cost $1 million, whatever it is. Spend 80% of your time not taking anybody you can find or anybody who's been available or even people you've worked with before, but really the best, and get them interested in your vision and make them a part owner of it. Because even if it's a small share, if they're invested in making this success, what you want is a big a pie as possible, right? You don't want a struggling business. It takes more work to run a struggling business, especially in hospitality, than it does a successful one. So make it successful, right? Think bigger, where could we go with this? Where could we franchise it? Could we do this? Could we do that? What are the potential for this business? Sell them on that vision. That's what leaders do. You don't have to be the best chef in the world. You don't have to be the best, interior designer in the world. You don't have to be the best marketing person in the world, but you have to be the person who finds those people, inspires them, brings them into your business, then brings investors in. That's your job as the entrepreneur.
I think, one of the most important things that people take away, especially if you're in the hospitality business or you're a restaurant owner or small business owner, is that there's a sense of pride when you say that you're an owner operator, because I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and do anything possible. I've done all the jobs. But really, that advice that you shared is so powerful, because, if you think that you're the CEO of a small business, stop thinking that you're the CEO. Think the way that Simon Sinek talks about is a chief visionary officer. And you use the word vision, and we use the word pitch and the big idea and finding the people that can execute this big idea. Once you start working on your business as opposed to in your business, and it doesn't matter the size of your business, but the more that you can do that and have these big ideas and execute and communicate these big ideas, and then actually execute, set up the team to help you execute it, then now you're actually talking about building something that's going to attract other people people that are going to work there, other people that are going to buy into the business, other people that are going to invest in the business, other people that want this business in their village, in their community.
I couldn't have said it better. And the only person who can do that is the CEO. All the other jobs can be done by other people. But if you're spending your time doing all these other jobs, you're not doing your job. And yet your job is, what is the vision of this business? Why do people want this business? Why is it needed? Who do I need on board to make this happen? All your time should be going into that. Your job is to feed the business, to bring things into the business from the outside that aren't there. And everybody else's job is to take those materials that you're bringing in and build it. So that mentality is absolutely essential if you're going to run a really successful business, if you're just, not going to be struggling day to day, with just a small business. And I'll tell you, the people, if you can't do that well, partner with somebody who can. Like, honestly, you'll end up doing better. Not everybody has the talent to do that. Recognize, like, some people are just like brilliant at cooking or coming up with an amazing new recipe.
Terrible at business. Terrible at accounting, terrible at inventory.
Don't do all those other things. Don't
Correct.
be the CEO. Find somebody else, partner with them, do what you're great at. Again, everybody in your business should be doing what they're absolutely best at, because otherwise you're wasting your talent and you're wasting your time.
Yeah. So I've heard that if you're fundraising and you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. Is that true?
It can be. So a lot of people use this. I'm asking, they contact me all the time. I just want advice.
Yeah, I want advice, but do they really want money?
They always want money. They always want money. They always want money.
Since you have money to pass on, why don't you pass on some to? We're building the Amazon Prime of barbecue over here in San Diego. You can send us some money while you're at it.
They want money. If they wanted advice, they could read my book.
Yeah, correct.
They don't need me on the phone. No.
Or look at any of the published content that you have online. I mean, we'll get to that next, because I think that's important. But go ahead. Keep going.
So that is true, but people who are kind of on the receiving end, if they're savvy, they know like what you really want. But what I told you earlier was, when you're going in for to pitch for money, listen to their advice. Like, the advice is really valuable. And I'm not saying don't ask for advice. I think asking for advice is great. But there's no shame in asking for money either, because honestly, people, if you really want advice, just ask for advice. If you really want money, just ask for money. But when you're asking for money, also make sure to get their advice. So that's my
there you
rule.
go. That's a good qualification. I like that. So one of the most important things that we talk about, always is sharing your story. And I think, that comes from a deep place for us. We opened in a location in 2008 in part of San Diego, the height of the economic recession, that people tell you location. We opened in a very difficult location, struggled to get people to come into our restaurant, care about what we were doing, tried all different types of marketing. And it was really once we decided to share our own story, start to use all the apps that were available to us, start to use Facebook, our website, Yelp, Google, Instagram, now TikTok, now blogging, podcasting, really to share our own story. And then we started to get all this earned media attention, all the attention that we wanted way back in the day that we couldn't get. We started to get once we learned how to better tell our story, but also published our own story. When I go to your website, I go and see how much content you have published on all these international publications, Forbes, Entrepreneur, you name it, and you're publishing content. Why is it so important for you to share your knowledge and to publish content on legacy media sites?
So think of your customers. They're spending huge amounts of time online now, like more than ever we could have ever imagined. Everybody's online all the time.
I mean, I read a statistic. It was that 5.5 hours on like his average smartphone usage per day per.
Isn't that insane?
And 3 of those hours is on social media sites.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, people had 0 hours.
Yeah, so 0 hours, correct.
Yeah, so now we're 5.5 hours, and it's going up.
It's going up. Well, it's a lot more for me. I'll tell you that.
It's absolutely crazy the amount of time we're spending online. So you reach your customers where they are, right? And so you were talking location. You suddenly realize the location they are is online. So I have a rule for creating content for myself on my site and for every business out there. And the rule is that every piece of content you create shouldn't be trying to sell them anything. It should be giving them value. What do they want out of the content? Always ask, like, why would they spend their time? Because they could be doing it a million other ways. If at any point, if any single pieces of your content doesn't give them value, they're tuning you out. Like they're going somewhere else. Yep. So if yours is about, amazing barbecues and stuff and sharing recipes and sauce and your story and ideas and inspiration, and your customers love that, that's what you give them. In my case, like I'm trying to do now, like in this podcast, is I'm trying to give you really practical, usable advice, like that you can take home and say, oh my God, I'm going to put those to work. Like that's going to actually make a material difference in my business. So that's what I do with my content. That's what, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, look at who you're targeting and why would they go there? Why are they consuming that? And weed out every other piece of thing, every sales pitch, everything. Those don't matter. Now, of course, if they value to them could be a coupon, like, oh, come in on Fridays and get half off on, all the ribs or whatever it is, or we're having beer night, German beer night. Those are value to them because that's what they're looking for. But it always has to be tied back to value. It can't just be sell for no reason.
So when we talk about smartphone storytelling, we talk about how easy it is to publish content online. It's either audio, it's either video, it's written word, or it's images. And for us, the more that people embrace that incredible device that's never been given to a business owner until now, where we literally can connect with people all over the globe through all these different mediums, through storytelling. For you, have you always been a writer?
So, well, I was actually dyslexic as a kid, so I was really terrible at writing. But after huge amounts of effort, I became a good writer, I would say, at this point. What I will say, though, is all these mediums today are very visual, audio and visual. So you, as you probably know, because you're pioneering this for the hospitality business, show them pictures. Like people read the text later if they like the picture. Show them videos. Make it come alive. So whatever you're talking about, because people are going a million miles an hour, but an image, and especially in video, is extremely powerful, but still pictures are also amazing, especially when it comes to food and vacations and locations, anything in the hospitality business. Trust me, we're all on the picture,
100%.
Anybody can say anything on the text, but show me the damn ribs or show me the beach I'm going to be sitting at. That's what makes a difference. So invest in those. Like if you're going to make a big difference in communicating with your customers, invest in like great photographers, like invest in, make sure that every piece of content you put out there is tantalizing. Like it's something people like will stop and look at and like, oh, they'll salivate over, literally salivate over.
So you have a video on your website about the Hollywood meeting Silicon Valley. And I think it's very powerful. And obviously coming from you with your background in the film industry, as well as, going to school for film and then working in Silicon Valley with all of these tech startups. Can you talk about that video about AI coming to life and how that will impact entrepreneurs as well as just consumers moving forward?
Yes. So
we're gonna put a link in the show notes to that video. It's very, very powerful.
Thank you.
I loved it.
So I'm gonna tweak it a little and talk about new technologies. So I write about this in another book. I had 2 books published last year, Surviving a Startup.
Incredible. 2 books in 1 year. Look at you.
I was COVID made me very prolific. And the 5 forces that change everything. And the 5 forces that change everything. In this book, I talk about how technology is going to transform every business on the planet, every business. So when you look at AI, in the world, like in Hollywood, you can go watch that video, but I'm going to talk now about the hospitality business and how these technologies are coming.
Great.
So already we see robotics entering the restaurant business. Like White Castle is now testing out burger flipping robots.
Yep, Flippy. Massimo, Troy Hooper, who's an avid podcast listener. He helps us with our digital hospitality clubhouse calls. But yeah, they're huge into robotics, and it's coming. It's already here. It's not coming. It's here.
It's here now. So everybody's going to have to upgrade to be competitive, right?
Yep.
And there's a labor shortage. So it's perfect timing, right, for this technology. And that's going to cross every food category. Everything that can be automated will be automated over time.
Yep.
AI is an incredibly powerful technology, machine learning, because in your, I know I'm in Northern California right now, and a lot of restaurants have closed because they simply can't get enough staff, right, to run them. So people should start thinking today, is there a way where people can interface very naturally with the machine? And AI is getting so good right now at answering questions, at actually processing stuff. It can do a lot of what people do and a lot faster and easier. And if you think people want a human face, remember, versateller machines at the bank. When they first came out, people were like, no, I'd rather go talk to a teller. Nobody wants to talk to a teller.
No one wants to talk to
No one wants to wait in line. In the future,
no one wants to go to a bank.
Yeah, nobody wants to go. They want to do it on their phone. Their damn
100%. I don't want to go to the bank.
So in the future, nobody's going to want to have to wait for a waiter or waitress to come to their table. Like
it's already here. I mean, we use Toast technology for order and pay. Back to everyone has a point of sale in their pocket. QR codes, people have already been conditioned how to use QR codes because of the updates to Apple phones and Android phones. It's so easy for somebody to, it's literally, so you sit there and once you experience this digital hospitality, what we call digital hospitality, and what Toast has enabled us to do. The next time you go to a restaurant, you have to wait for a server to come and bring you, you start to get upset because now you're losing that time.
Right.
Why should I have to wait when I have the tool? Why do I need to tell this human the same thing that I literally can put in and it will go directly to the kitchen? What am I waiting for?
Right. And it's always so painful to watch them walk past you and go to another table.
It's very painful.
And you're waiting.
It's not
and
hospitable.
Trying to get their attention.
Yes.
And
or you're waiting to pay. You're waiting to pay. You're waiting for them to drop the check.
If you want to see the future, go to Asia now with QR codes. Like Asia has been doing this for, everywhere for over a decade. Like QR codes, they're way ahead of us. But literally, you go into every store, convenience store, wherever it is, you're paying with everything QR codes, doing everything. So we're just getting on that bandwagon now, and you're ahead because you're like pushing the envelope on this. But most of the places I eat at and I go to still, they're not even using it yet. They should.
Well, I mean, we don't have servers in our restaurant anymore. We used to be a full service restaurant. Now we're fast casual. I mean, we're fast casual.
You're my dream technology restaurant.
Yeah, because I mean, it has nothing to do with the job code of server. We've just repositioned a hospitality worker in our business. More people are making more money in our new model as opposed to this old archaic model that didn't make any sense. And now we can scale at ways that we never had. I mean, we're 10 points lower with our labor cost, our front of the house labor cost, because of technology.
You can pass that on to the customer.
Exactly.
They save money.
Exactly.
So this is the beauty of it. It's a win-win for everybody, And since there are too many jobs out there and not enough people to fill them, this transition is going to happen. It's being driven right now. It's a really exciting time. But AI is going to become so much more powerful than we ever imagined today. So a lot of decisions that we make as human beings right now are going to be delegated to AI, honestly. So I come into San Diego and I am like, in the mood for ribs. And I go, I'm not going to go to Yelp. I'm not going to, I'm just going to say, what's the best, to my personal AI, what's the best rib place?
Yep.
Okay, get me there. Like, get me there, or have it delivered to my hotel or wherever I am.
I mean, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. And that's why we're building the Amazon Prime of barbecue, because it doesn't matter. We can't discriminate and make people come into our business and say, you have to eat ribs here. You have to wait 2 hours in line. No, if you come in and you're sitting in a hotel overlooking San Diego Bay and you go, I want brisket should come to you. Yeah. And it's our job to show up location in the location search so that we actually are the ones that are delivering and fulfilling that.
You're having a barbecue in the park with your family.
Correct.
Let's get some of those ribs.
Let's get Cali barbecue done. Yeah.
Right. They're done. But this decision making, like, where should I travel on my next vacation? Like, you can spend hours, and it's fun for a lot of people, like researching different vacations. but entertainment factor aside of doing the homework, for other people, they're just too busy. Yep. And for other people, even though it's fun, they want the best deal and they want the best fit for them. AI is going to be figuring all of this out for people in the future. All of it. It's going to be like better than any human travel agents, which we don't have anymore. They've gotten rid of humans. And so now we have to wait through all these menus, but we're not going to be waiting through those menus in the future. Our trips are going to be planned by an artificial intelligence knows us very well, knows what price range we like, knows what, our requirements are for cleanliness, for this. Do we need a pool in the place? Do we need, I spent 5 months during COVID traveling across the country in my car, working as I go, because I thought, well, I'm remote anyway, it'd be fun, and I'll tell you, it was still a hassle to get a hotel with all the requirements
Yes.
I have, or even more so to get an Airbnb. I want a certain above. They have to have a laundry machine. They have to be available for this week. They have to have, they
Yep.
have to have this cleanliness rating that I trust in this many reviews. Why can't an AI do that? Like in the future, it will be. So we will be like basically giving it general parameters, and it will be monitoring our life. And the more we use those AIs, the more valuable they will become. And that, if you're not in the flow of how to use those and getting on their radar, it's just like you ran a hotel and ignored TripAdvisor, right? Like,
Yeah, correct.
you have to be all over these things because they're the ones going to be the gatekeepers steering the traffic towards you.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening to this, what should they know about Founders Space? Because we got people listening all over the globe. Is there a way for them to interact?
Oh yes. So if you want to get into we're a startup incubator accelerator. We work in the food tech business with food tech startups. Work with all sorts of different startups, hospitality startups. If you want to find out about us, just go to founderspace.com. Founderspace.com. You can contact me from the webpage. I'm also on LinkedIn and I'm on every social network. So search for Steve Hoffman. And if you want my book, like Surviving a Startup, just go to survivingastartup.com.
That is awesome. We will put links to all 3 of your books. 3 books, or how many books do we have?
3. So I
3
Make
books.
Elephants Fly, which is about innovation, Surviving a Startup, you know what it's about, and the 5 Forces That Change Everything, all about tech changing our world.
I love it. Well, we're super lucky that you spent time with us today to share these stories. This is very impactful. We're very excited. Hopefully, when our episode publishes, we do a weekly clubhouse on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But we'd love to have you on as a featured guest so that people can ask you questions.
Oh, I love it when people ask questions. And I can't wait to get down to San Diego and go to your barbecue. I can't wait. I'm going to go.
Well, we're very excited. We can show you the Master Smokehouse and Media Center we're building. We've got 2 ghost kitchens. Our next ghost kitchens coming live here next month. And
you are really on the ball. You are like on the cutting edge.
We've learned a lot. Opening in 2008 and surviving, and then doing barbecue on the West Coast and becoming a media company and going all in on technology. We definitely have learned a lot, and that's why we put on this podcast so other people can learn.
Super valuable.
So don't feel free to reach out to me. You guys know at Sean P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. Stephen Hoffman, CEO of Founders Space. Thank you so much for your time. We are grateful. We can't wait to see what you build. And if there's anything we can do to support what you guys are doing, please let us know.
Thank you.